The trial of the prosecutor versus Dominic Ongwen continued from 12 September to 30 September 2019 at the International Criminal Court in The Hague. During this time, 8 witnesses were called by the Ongwen defense team to give their testimony before the chamber about the Lord's Resistance Army, LRA, Joseph Kony, and Dominic Ongwen. Dominic Ongwen, the alleged former commander of the senior brigade of the LRA, is accused of 70 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity allegedly committed during a widespread and systematic attack directed against the civilian population of northern Uganda from at least 1st July 2002 to 31st December 2005, including the attacks against the civilian population in Lokodi, Bajule, Odek, and Abokadipi camps between October 2003 and June 2004. 4 witnesses D26P00123, D26P0124, D26P0125, and D26P0138 testified about what they witnessed when LRA invaded and attacked Teso region residents in 2003. Specifically, witness D26P0125, a UPDF soldier and a Narrowboy, narrated about what he saw.
Kony's people, as you call them, came to Teso. How did they conduct themselves?
They
were killing people. They even raped women. They abducted children. They destroyed the crops. They disrespected the people in their homes.
Now, immediately, Kony's people came to Teso. Were they, peaceful at first?
There was peace in Teso. People were eating. They were drinking. They were getting married. They had friendship everywhere.
And what did change the situation?
After Kony's army coming into Teso, it changed everything that was in Teso.
Witness D26P0125 further said because of those atrocities committed by the LRA, the community was prompted to form Arrow Boys, a paramilitary group that recruited and trained civilians, former soldiers, and veterans in order to protect the community from the attacks. The UPDF, Uganda People's Defense Force, assisted the community by training and equipping the Arrow Boys with ammunition and uniforms, the witness added. The witness was questioned about specific LRA senior commanders that went to Teso and what happened to them.
The first person was Tabule, and is at Teso like me. Tabule. The second, Raskalukuya. The third, Vincent Oti. The fourth, Opio Makas. The fifth, Avudema. Those are the ones.
Did you hear of Dominic Ongwen coming to Teso?
I worked in Gulu, I worked in Pader, I worked in Palabek, I worked in Ongwen. I have never heard about Ongwen, and he was not seen.
Did LRA lose some of its commanders in Teso?
We hit and killed Latabule in our land, in my clan, in my home area, in my village. Opio was killed in Odudui. The rest they escaped.
Perhaps, Mr. Chifuda, we can have a narrative on that. Were you present when Tabule was killed?
I'm the one.
I'm the one who killed him.
So could you perhaps please tell us in more detail what happened, what you recall?
Iraisi tungitongona kanyape.
We were 16. We were looking, we went to check around the area where the civilians had gone to look for food. Then we found footmarks of a few people that were headed to the church. So we sent one of our spies. He came and told us that there are so many people in church, but we don't know whether they're UPDF or the enemy, because they are also dressed like military people. So as you know, a soldier, it was to take action now. So we sent another young man. The good thing that happened, so one of the boys, of our boys, had been taken by them and he was seated down. So we laid an ambush of 16 people. So Tabule came with his people and entered in our ambush. That was the day we killed Tabule. But then, so since there were so many, we failed to fight them, but we took off. But then we were happy that we had already hit Tabule, because even our own commander was hit, and also me myself, I was hit. I have scars of bullets on my body. Thank you.
At the time, was someone of your group killed also?
Yes.
Yes, there's someone who was killed. Opio Charles.
Seems to be the same name like yours.
Kirorika.
Yes, he was my namesake.
My uncle.
My namesake and my uncle. He was my uncle.
Thank you, Mr. Chifuda.
Moving on from LRA attacks in Teso to attacks in other regions in Uganda, two former LRA members, witnesses D26P0085 and D26P0134, testified about LRA attacks in Pajule, Abok, and Lokode IDP camps. They both said that they took part in the Pajule attack, with their specific roles discussed in private sessions. Specifically, witness D26P0134 was questioned about what he had heard about the attacks in Abok and Lokode IDP camps. Witness D26P0134 was also questioned about distribution of women in the LRA.
I'll move on to another area, Mr. Witness, and that's relating to the distribution of women in the LRA. Now, you told us it was Joseph Cohn who had authority to distribute women, but it was the senior commanders who physically did the distributing of the women, wasn't it?
Whenever they received orders from Cohn, yes, they would do the distribution.
It wasn't just them receiving orders. In practice, the senior commanders would in fact ask permission from Cohn to distribute the women.
Okay. That's correct.
And once Joseph Cohn gave the senior commanders the green light, the senior commander would then distribute those women, correct?
Okay. That's correct.
And the senior commanders would distribute those women to fighters working under their command. Yes?
That's correct.
And these girls would be distributed according to how the senior commanders saw fit. So they would choose which officers under their command to give the women to. Yes?
That is correct.
And the senior commanders would also keep some of the women to serve as wives for themselves, didn't they?
That's correct.
And this practice of distributing women was something that happened across all of the LRA units, yes?
That is correct.
Now, some of the senior commanders had many wives. In fact, Joseph Cohn had about 80 wives at some stage. Isn't that right?
That's right.
Vincent Otti had at least 20 wives.
That's right.
And these women who were distributed to LRA officers, they had no choice in the matter. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Wives were expected to have sex with their husbands, yes?
That's right.
And you yourself saw with your own eyes women being beaten for not performing their duties, didn't you?
That was a part of punishment to the women. That would happen.
Two witnesses who were abducted into the LRA and later on became wives of Joseph Kony and Dominic Ongwen testified during this evidentiary block. Both witnesses testified about the LRA, specifically the various rules and orders that were followed and subsequent punishments if not followed. Both witnesses also spoke about the hierarchy in the LRA and the different roles individuals play. Witness D26P0049, who was abducted at 12 years and eventually became Joseph Kony's wife, narrated how she became his wife.
Miss Witness, how did you become a wife to Joseph Kony?
I was abducted. I was abducted in 1994, and upon my abduction, immediately I was taken to his household. He first started taking care of me as a ting-ting, because when you are taken there as a young person, when you're a girl, then you're referred to as a ting-ting. So when I stayed in his household for some time, then later on, he made me to become his wife.
Miss Witness, how did this happen?
When we were in Palotara, he called me and he told me that from today onwards, I will no longer take you as a babysitter in my home. I had brought you here as my babysitter, but right now, from now onwards, you are going to become my wife. Then I told him, but that is not possible, because first of all, you told me that you are my father. So how is it possible that I can become your wife? So I ran away from his home and went to Uti Vincent's home. So when I went to Uti Vincent, he told me that he is also under the command of Kony. So if you continue staying in my home, Kony will kill me. So it is good that I take you back to Kony's home. So in the morning, he took me back. We went to Commander Omona Field's home, and from there they took me to Kony's home. They started questioning me and beating me, asking me why I had to take that information to operation room. So after that, he pressured me and had sex with me and told me that it was because of my father and my mother who gave birth to a beautiful girl like me. That is why I am now going to become his wife. So if there's anything wrong, then I should blame them for that. At that time, I was 14 years old.
That would have been my next question. And although it was a long time ago, this must have been an incisive thing that happened in your life. Do you recall how you felt at the time?
I felt very bad because, first of all, he was an adult, not young anymore. When you compare my age and his age, he was an old person.
How did Joseph treat you while you were a ting-ting?
He would treat me well. Would say that I was a good babysitter. I took care of his children. I babysitted Salim. And he would not actually disturb me. However, some of his senior wives were the ones that would beat me in some situations.
About Dominic Ongwen, witness D26P0049 said that she met him when he helped her as she almost drowned during her early days in the LRA following her abduction. Otherwise, she said that she didn't see or interacted with Mr. Ongwen that much because he was in a different brigade. From the few interactions, though, witness D49 said Ongwen was someone who loved everyone and he was jolly. Ms. Florence Hayot, a former LRA member and Dominic Ongwen's wife, testified about her abduction and life in the LRA. She narrated how she became Mr. Ongwen's wife and how the accused treated her, her co-wives, and her child.
You mentioned Mr. Ongwen said he would take care of Bach. What other qualities did you like or dislike in Mr. Ongwen during this courtship?
I loved him because of the way he would live with people. He lived so freely with people. He was not quarrelsome. And I felt it was good for me to go to him. There was nothing I dislike about him because I had not seen anything wrong he had done before.
Do you remember if at the time you decided to live with Mr. Ongwen, do you remember what his rank was? Or if he was even an officer?
It's been a while. I don't recall. It's been quite a while. I don't remember which rank he had then.
I'm going to read a very small sentence, and I'll see maybe if this helps you. Your Honor, it's from paragraph 26 on tab 1.
Yeah.
Page 0182. This is from your statement. It said, I think he was a second lieutenant. Does that sound about correct, Madam Witness, that you weren't sure, but he might have been a second lieutenant?
That is it.
Now again, you mentioned that he said to bring your child. How did Mr. Ongwen treat Bach?
Well, the way he was treating not just Bach but also his other children, if you were not told, you would not have known that Bach was not his child. He would take good care of Bach. Bach didn't like me so much. Most of the times he would be staying where Ongwen was. Secondly, in his life until eventually he died, he did not get to know that Ongwen was not his father. He didn't know that he had a different dad than Ongwen.
At the time you chose to live with Mr. Ongwen, how many wives did he have?
I found he had 3.
And when you came there, how did he treat, from what you saw, how did he treat those other women?
What I saw was that he treated them well, because we would live together with these women. If we were not told that we were co-wives, you would not even know that we were. Most times he would not stay with us, but for us as his wives, we would stay together and stay very well.
According to Ms. Florence Hayot, between 2002 and 2003, the accused was in the sick bay due to an injury, and this prompted her and her co-wives to stay with Ongwen in the sick bay, even though she had just delivered a baby. While she didn't recall how much time she spent in the sick bay, she noted that they all stayed there until her child was walking. When they left the sick bay, the accused, together with another LRA commander, Nyeho, were planning to escape, but those plans were thwarted when Ongwen was house arrested. The witness also explained about the meaning behind Joseph Kony's praises during radio calls.
Finally, Ms. Witness, and thank you for your time today so far. What would be the meaning behind Joseph Kony praising people on the radio call?
Yes, that was there. He had 2 ways of doing the same. But one thing was when he was aware that you wanted to return or escape, he would say, I really love this person. This person works so hard. That was meant for the purpose that if you return home, you'll go home and then you'll be in trouble. I would give an example. In those days, he used to talk about Dominic, and later on he started talking about Lamola, and he used to say Lamola was very good. He was really just wise. He would be mentioning such a thing just for purposes of making you get into trouble when you go back home, because people will think you have been doing a lot of bad things. That's what Kony used to do. If he begins speaking like that, you can be very sure that you are at risk. He might actually pick you up and kill you. I remember those days he was talking about OT, and OT was killed. He was talking about Dominic, but Dominic survived somehow. He also talked about Sam Kolo, and Sam Kolo had to escape and go home. That is just meant to blackmail you, kind of.
Ms. Florence Hayot was also questioned by the prosecution team about an interview she did in 2012. In that 2012 interview, the witness had said that she was aware of atrocities that Mr. Ongwen committed. Ms. Hayot clarified her statements of that 2012 interview.
You said this, Madam Witness. If there was a means government could link me to speak with Dominic, I would request him to abandon, renounce rebellion, and apply for amnesty. In order for him to come back home, to reconcile with the community he wronged. He should come out of the bush. Let the International Criminal Court spare Dominic and forgive him for his crimes, so that he can come home and take care of his children. And then you said this: I know he committed very serious and terrible atrocities. People were killed, maimed, abducted, and raped by the rebels. I fear people will revenge on me and my children. I am leaving everything to God. That's the end of the quotation. Madam Witness, which were the atrocities that you know Dominic Ongwen committed?
Whatever I said what the LRA did with reference to Coin killing people, Coin mutilating people, Coin abducting people. Even us, we've come home, but we are still being stigmatized. I'm afraid. I'm always fearful. People have refused their children. Some people have accepted their children. We are always fearful. We are fearful about how we are going to raise our kids. Let Ongwen come home and help raise his kids, because we were fearful about how we are going to raise our kids. We heard that Ongwen's name was among the people who were also to receive amnesty. And our plea was for him to come back so that the ICC can forgive him and he can be granted amnesty. He was taken to the bush when he was a young person. There are older people. There were higher ranking commanders who were there who committed these crimes. So we went to the JRP office and we're pleading with them, asking them to call our husbands. They advised us. They said we also should call back our husbands. And that is what I did. I was pleading with Ongwen to come back. I cannot say it was only Ongwen who killed all those people. I cannot say he's the one who committed all those atrocities. He was also one of the people that was abducted. It must be clear that he was also abducted.
Madam Witness, much of that may be so, but it's not really an answer to my question. I'm going to ask you to have another go at answering it. When you said, I know he committed very serious and terrible atrocities, which ones did you have in mind?
I did not say Ongwen specifically. I said the LRA committed very many atrocities. The LRA committed a number of atrocities. But I believe, I don't speak English, so I suppose it is the person who interpreted my speech that probably got it wrong. The person should have actually told them correct things. I said the LRA. I did not mention one person's name. I did not mention Ongwen's name. I said the LRA.
I'm going to leave that there.
May I shortly, Mr.
Of course, Your Honor, yes.
Madam Witness, there was a first part of what Mr. Gumpert read to you. It started with, if there was a means government could link me to speak with Dominic, I would request him to abandon and renounce rebellion and apply for amnesty. Is that correct?
That bit is precise. It's correct.
And also he should come out of the bush and yeah. So this is precise.
That is correct, because we were also being advised to plead to our husbands and come home. We were asking him to come home because he himself was abducted when he was a child.
So far, the Ongwen defense team has presented 51 witnesses. The trial resumed on 31st October 2019 with the testimony of the 52nd defense witness.